And it's annoying because when you go through this, you don't just one day wake up and say, yeah, you know what, fuck religion, I'm not going to do that ever again. Everyone who does that is stupid, etc., etc. You don't say that. In fact, you probably go through years of internal battle with yourself as to whether or not Christianity or whether or not any religion you're part of is for you. Ever so often, when I think about this topic, I kind of get a little like riled up just a little bit because this topic is something that's personal to me. I'm kind of over at this point. So this is a story time of how I decided to not be religious and leave Christianity. I feel like this story, a lot of people have talked about their decision to leave Christianity, and a lot of people have decided to be atheist, agnostic. I'm personally non-religious, and I will go into what that means in a minute. I grew up in a Caribbean household. My dad's Jamaican, mom's Haitian. Both are Christians. So the type of Christian that I grew up as a Seventh-day Adventist Christian, and basically that means as Seventh-day Adventists, they have a lot of, first of all, they strictly follow the Bible, and I say this in air quotes because religion. They strictly follow the Bible. They're really known for worshiping on a Saturday instead of a Sunday, and they are also known for their very strict diets. For instance, when I was a Seventh-day Adventist, I was not allowed to eat any unclean meats, which were pork, any fish that doesn't have scales, so no shellfish. Even still to this day, I don't eat shellfish because I just it's just so foreign to me because I've never eaten it that I still don't eat shellfish. I do eat pork every now and then now though. You can't drink alcohol, you can't consume caffeine. You're not allowed to wear jewelry except for I think a watch, which in my opinion that's very patriarchal, but anyways. So a lot of Seventh-day Adventist kids, you'll notice they don't have their ears pierced if they grew up Seventh-day Adventist. I do. I got my ears pierced. I got cartilage pierced. I took out. I have my nose pierced. I had a belly button piercing that I took out. And I also have a tattoo. So clearly when I was 18, I was kind of just like, ugh. From the Sabbath, which is Friday, when sun sets to Saturday, you can't do any housework, any cooking, nothing. You're not supposed to until Vespers, which is Saturday at sunset. So yeah, very strict, very homophobic, very conservative, not Jehovah's Witnesses, but it's kind of comparable. I've heard them be compared to Methodists, except they just worship on Saturday. I don't know how true that is. I kind of left the religion at 13, and here's kind of why. When I was a Seventh-day Adventist, I was really active in the church until my parents ended up divorcing. And once they divorced, I kind of was just like looking to God for like, why does this happen to me? And all the cliche things that kids do. And then I decided that I really wanted to be baptized. Like I was so focused on being baptized because I feel like when you're in a religion, like you wait for the day that you get to be baptized again. One, to feel closer to Jesus, and two, I really, really, really wanted the wine and crackers. So I started reading the Bible like my pastor said. My pastor at the church I went to in South Florida, he kind of like brushed me off and like didn't really like listen to me, which I don't think that he had like an intuition that I was going to leave the church at that time. I mean, at that time wasn't going to leave the church at all. I was very invested in reading the Bible like at age, like this is like when I was like 10, 11, 12. So yeah, he kind of ignored me. Honestly, everyone in that church were really, really rude and inconsiderate. So at that time, I read the Bible a lot. And when I was reading the Bible and like sitting and doing reading it for Friday night studies, I realized how sexist it was. And mind you, I'm 12 years old and I'm reading this like, what? It's like, what is this incest? What is this rape? Like, what is this violence? Like, what is this? Like, and it's just so patriarchal. And this is also just my opinion. I don't hate anyone who is a Christian. I don't hate anyone who's religious. This is just my impression as I was a kid. After that, I kind of started questioning whether he existed or not, because I was kind of just like, this is kind of off. And I feel like it's one thing to leave the church, okay, and leave Christianity. But it's another thing when you grew up Black or grew up in a Caribbean household and you grew up in a very, very Christian environment. Because once you start questioning, and if you've been through this, you'll understand what I'm saying. Once you start questioning the religion and questioning if God exists and questioning Jesus, like even I remember for years, it wasn't until like I left to go to college for years, even if I even think, does God exist? like my heart would drop. Like I felt like I was going to be like damned. And I guess Christians think I'm going to be damned for saying this. And it's like that fear that was instilled from you and since you were young. And yeah, that's it's scary. And the fact that I went through that so young was just baffles me. That fear that I'm talking about, it led me to say, okay, so I don't know if Christianity's for me. Okay, sorry God, don't know if it's for me, but I'll just be agnostic. I'm not going to say if he exists or not. I'm not going to be a devil worshiper and be atheist. I'm not going to do that either. I'm just going to say that a God exists. But I don't believe that this religion is the one that gets to say he exists. That was my rationale when I was like 13 up until like I left. It's like, that was like end of middle school, beginning of high school. That was like my rationale, like the first half of high school. I was like that. Okay, I was like, okay, this is how I feel about religion. And it was also really annoying because in high school, if you ever told anyone, still now, ever tell anyone religious, oh, I'm agnostic, oh, I'm atheist, they'll rather take that as one, a way to invite you into their church or Bible study because they think it's their duty to not respect your choices. And two, they'll ask you why and they'll try to debate your choices with you, even though it's your decision. It was kind of funny too because it kind of came at a good time because in high school, for my curriculum, I had to read and learn about absurdism and existentialism, and that was really like propelled me into atheism, especially existentialism. At that point, I was like, why? How does God exist? And that I started turning atheist because of that. Really, it was because of those ideologies. I was kind of just like, how could anyone believe this? Like, this is literally a storybook. Like, this is ridiculous. And I didn't like. I was never the atheist that would post things and like shame people for being Christians or being religious. I never did that. But I was an atheist that I would talk to other atheists and be like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. And like laugh at religion as a whole, be like, religion's a joke. Like that it doesn't make sense. People just, sorry, my fan's on, my AC's on. People just do this because they want comfort, which I still believe, but I'll get into that later. So towards the end of high school, I started really thinking about my stance on religion. And it wasn't until I got into college that I was kind of just like, you know what, I don't really care because some people find another religion and I think that's cool. But personally, I can't believe in religion. It's not even that I just feel like I personally don't have the time to, but I rather focus on being more spiritual and just focus on self-healing through meditation and affirmations than following a set religion. But I also realized that I don't really have a problem with religion per se, which is why I decided to be non-religious instead of atheist. Because I'm not saying that a God exists or not, I'm just saying I don't care. And that's just my apathetic stance towards religion. My boyfriend right now is not religious either, but I always told myself that if I were to date anyone and they were religious, I wouldn't have a problem with it because I'm not religious and I don't have a dissenting view of religion. I find myself very respectful of other people's religion. I don't mind if you have a religion. However, I do mind when you don't respect my choice to not be religious, which happens so many times, especially when I run into Christians. So you would think that if you're a Christian for over 10 years and you told someone that, and then you also followed up with, yeah, but I'm not religious anymore, that they'll kind of think, oh, okay, like that was their decision, let's respect that. But that's often not the case with a lot of Christians. They feel like they have to force you to go to church with them and that you are like their protege that they're going to make into a Christian, which is very annoying. And I run into this all the time. I run into this in college. I run into this with my family because nobody in my family who's Christian respects the fact that I'm not a Christian. And it's very annoying. And it doesn't matter what I say. It's like I'm a broken record. And it's annoying because when you go through this, you don't just one day wake up and say, yeah, you know what? Religion, I'm not going to do that ever again. Everyone who does that is stupid. You don't say that. In fact, you probably go through years of internal battle with yourself as to whether or not Christianity or whether or not any religion you're part of is for you. It takes you a while to like come to terms with it yourself, let alone tell it to other people, and then just have those people disrespect your choices. It's very annoying. And that was just the most annoying thing because as someone who was a Christian for over 10 years, don't you think I know what the Bible says? Like, why do you think Especially I was a Seventh-day Adventist, so a very strict Christian. I guarantee you, there's nothing you can say that I didn't know already. In fact, everything that you're saying is the reason why I chose to leave the religion. I feel like if I was white, this situation would be much more easier. However, I come from a background of a Caribbean family. It's so much harder. My mom's pretty accepting, but everyone else is not, and it's just really annoying. My siblings really don't care, as I don't care either. It's just people who feel like it's their business that they care. So if you are going through this, and I say this because I did get a DM once of someone who wanted to know about my story and my advice to them. So if you are, regardless of who you are, who are deciding to leave Christianity or any religion, here's my advice to you. It's gonna sound harsh, but you have to be very firm with your stance, and if that means that you have to cut people out of your life who don't respect your choices, then that might be just what you have to do. If not, cut them off, limit your communication with them, because your mental health comes first. And it's going to drive you insane if you constantly have to go to church when you know you don't believe in it, and it's going to also drive you insane to constantly have people disrespect your choices and act like you can't take ownership for yourself. It's just going to drive you insane. It drove me insane every single time I go visit family, because people force me to pray, and honestly, it really annoys me when I get forced to pray, even though people know I'm not religious. But yeah, anyways, that is my rant for today. That is my story time of why I decided to not be religious. And yeah, I hope you guys found this informative in some way, shape, or form. Give this video a like if it helped you, and subscribe. Okay, I hope you guys get through this rough patch if you're watching this, and yeah, bye.